Hello, guys, and welcome to another Facebook Live event. There's been a trending topic today, and it's been the issue of whether or not we should give title deeds to the rural population in Zimbabwe because they comprise about 70% of the population. So 70% of the population is located in the rural areas of Zimbabwe, and they do not have title deeds to the piece of land where they live. And so there was an argument as to whether they should be provided title or they should not be provided title. There are reasons against the provision of title, and there are reasons or arguments against the provision of title deeds. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a question of whether we want to keep the rural population outside of the mainstream economy, in which they are not participating. And so what we are saying when we say that we don't want to give them title deeds is to exclude them economically. So not only are they included economically, but financially as well. There is financial exclusion of those people, and there is economic exclusion of those people. Now, I was looking at in fact, because I've been talking about Bitcoin and the blockchain, I thought let me look up and see if there are applications. In fact, I knew there were applications of blockchain in property or in land registry, and I just thought let me look up some of these articles so that you can see what is happening in other countries. So things are happening. The blockchain, which is basically a way of recording information, okay, in a way in which it is not only decentralized, but it is also secure, it is safe, as long as obviously the inputs themselves are done correctly. So one of the problems we could have with a blockchain information on the blockchain is if it is deliberately put with error, or if it is fraudulent at the point of entry and is accepted as correct, then changing it might prove to be a little bit difficult because you need the consensus of the entire network of anyone who is involved within that blockchain. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few stories which you can read for yourself, obviously, and I've just got a few here which I've kept in my Pocket. So I'm using the Pocket application. Let me just show you what it looks like. So this is the Pocket application down here which I'm using, and this Academy coin is one of the cryptocurrencies which have been developed in the education sector. So as you can see, there are so many uses of the blockchain technology, and it's not just about Bitcoin. I know we are obsessed with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is making all the headlines, but the underlying technology is called the blockchain, and it is through the blockchain that we have applications such as Academy coin. Pocket is just a place where it's an application where I keep my links, the links that I find through the internet. So the way that I'm finding most of my information is if in fact, I've got I've got this alert system on my Twitter account, so I get updates. I get notified when there is any news about Bitcoin or blockchain. I get notified because I'm following those people who are in that industry, And then right now I'm using Ecamm Live to broadcast this, to enable me to broadcast this. Okay, I could also use ScreenFlow, but ScreenFlow would not be live. I would need to get something else which is made by this same company. So anyway, this is the first story, and it's about securing your apartment now and diversify your investment portfolio. So purchase off-plan Dubai apartments with Bitcoin. So this organization is this Aston Plaza and Residence. They are inviting people to buy Dubai apartments, which are still under construction. According to one report that I read earlier, it's only 25% complete, or according to that, I can't remember, but I think the date is not so long ago. It was 25% complete. So this is something which is still going on. So over 370 apartments already sold. Bitcoin price pegged to US dollar exchange rate as at 6th November 2017. So underpinning our strong commitment to the future of the cryptocurrency market and the Bitcoin community, we're offering an extra 5% discount, blah, blah, blah. More information, Aston Plaza and Residence. So this is what you get for your investment, and this is this is what the apartments look like. So 144 apartments are still available. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment opportunity, but note that they are accepting payments in Bitcoin, and you use BitPay for the transaction to take place. So what's available is all of this. I mean, you can go through this. I'm not here to advertise this opportunity, but just to talk about the fact that it is based on Bitcoin, and they are only accepting Bitcoin for this. Okay, so that's one story. Things that are happening today. So I'm gonna go to another story now. All transactions in Dubai to be conducted through let me see. I think there is a bit more before that. I was looking at the plaza here. So Bitcoin, the future of property development, right? So this is the other story, right? So this one, it's also talking about the same place in Dubai. So whether this form of crypto-based property development is here to stay depends entirely on the volatility of the cryptocurrency market. That being said, many experts, including Barrowman and Baroness Moon, these are the two people who are developing these properties, firmly believe Bitcoin is here to stay. Indeed, it is the golden standard in cryptocurrency. So whether Bitcoin stays or not depends on how many people are using it. So this type of thing is part of the adoption of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, the digital currency underpinned by blockchain, has become one of the most talked about and media exposed subjects in the technology space. So the fact that I'm even talking about it, and the fact that you're even listening to this, is evidence that Bitcoin may be going mainstream bit by bit. Okay, so if you've bought any Bitcoin, you're part of the reason why the price of Bitcoin is going up, because they can see that there is a lot of interest in the Bitcoin and in cryptocurrencies. But it's not just about Bitcoin, because this article is also talking about the blockchain, which is the technology behind Bitcoin. So the blockchain is the one which is enabling this type of investment to be available. So let me see, democratizing, that's another article. The 250 million property development project will eventually feature 1,133 studios. So this is even before some of them were sold. So this is even an older article, but on the same project that we're talking about. Okay, so the future of property development may be in Bitcoin. We don't know, but this is a first. Yeah. Then the next one in Introduction to Blockchain, the key legal issues. Now, I'm not going to go through that one-on-one. This one, which talks about blockchain and land registries. Are they the records of the future? This one is 28th September 2017, so about 2 months ago. Blockchain is, in essence, a digital database or ledger distributed across a network of computers. So that's the blockchain. The records are protected by cryptography and are therefore protected against human error, editing, and removal. Read our introduction to Bitcoin note for a fuller explanation. The versatility of blockchain means it is being widely considered as a way to manage financial transactions, asset transfers, and regulatory obligations. In particular, blockchain is now seen by many as the future of land registration. So when you talk about what's happening in Zimbabwe with land, or what's happened with the distribution of land, and the fact that there is multiple ownership of land, that would never happen if the land registry was on a blockchain, okay? Because you would need the collusion of all the people on the blockchain, to agree to the corruption which we know is endemic now, where there is multiple farm ownership. Okay, so the blockchain would get rid of that. And when we talk about the awarding of title deeds to raw areas or any other property for that matter, if it is on a blockchain, it is more secure, it is more authentic, it is more difficult to forge, and so corruption could be a thing of the past, and it would unlock the value which is in those properties, and would make sure that the properties can enter into the mainstream economy. I know there are people who are worried that banks would buy off the properties because if there is title, they could trick the villagers into getting loans which they can't pay back and then take. But the government can always put up a law to say this type of property cannot be used for this type of activity, or cannot be expropriated if the person is struggling to pay. They can always put a law to protect that type of property. So I think we should not worry about implementation, but we can look at ways in which we can make the implementation even more successful. But the main point here is that we have a system which we can use to record or to put the registration of these properties. And this system is called the blockchain, and this system is already being used in other places. So it's not like we are trying something which has not been done already, but we are implementing something which has already been done. Look at that. Firstly, it has potential to greatly reduce property fraud at a time when this has become a growing concern, even for Her Majesty's Land Registry. Okay, so it is the future of land registries, and we need to find out exactly how we can implement this. Okay, so blockchain technology also underpins smart contracts, which are programmable contracts that self-execute. So a programmable contract will self-execute. That means if you have a contract and let's say you've paid for something, and the blockchain is made aware that you've paid, it means that a smart contract would self-execute and give you title to that piece of property that you've paid for without having to go through lawyers and stuff like that. So the blockchain is basically getting rid of third parties, because it is the third parties which have been making money out of people who are struggling, because they have been acting as the trustees, or as the point of trust between two untrusting parties. So if you're buying a house, for example, you have to go through lawyers and banks, because you and the property developer cannot come to an agreement which is binding, except if you go through the brokers and the banks and the lawyers and stuff like that. Okay, property lawyers. So that is where the problem is. If you're renting your house out, you might want to use property management company. Okay, because you and the tenant cannot trust each other to be able for the tenant to be able to pay you your rentals on time and every time. Okay, so that's blockchain and land registries, and basically they are going to be the record of the future. Is already happening in Ukraine. It's happened. The government has entered into a partnership with a blockchain provider and passed a new law to allow foreign ownership of real estate in the hope that foreign investment will drive up a market that has fallen by 70% since 2008. So that's in Ukraine. And the Republic of Georgia has already agreed to use blockchain to validate all government-related property transactions. Since its launch in February 2017, Georgia's blockchain provider has helped implement property registration and has registered more than 100,000 documents. In Sweden, blockchain could save the Swedish taxpayer 100 million by speeding up transactions, reducing paperwork, and minimizing fraud. This is an example of blockchain being utilized by an already well-established and competent land registry. And wait for it, in Africa, Ghana, and various Indian states are also considering blockchain. Despite the examples of Sweden and England and Wales, arguably the greatest benefits are likely to be enjoyed by countries where land holdings have less certain ownership and fraud is more common. However, blockchain will not remove the issue of incorrect data and the requirement for clean inputs. So just because we are using the blockchain does not mean we remove the issue of incorrect data being entered and the requirement for clean input. So we still need to make sure that the implementation stage is free of these of the incorrect data, and also make sure that we require that there are clean inputs into the database. It will be necessary for countries with no central registries to devise a system for agreeing what data is to be entered onto the blockchain. So you don't really have to enter everything onto a blockchain. You can decide what you want to enter. But I think the main thing is that you have a system which is able to function in a decentralized manner, which means you do not have to worry about a third party who can be untrustworthy or stuff like that. Okay, so that's that one is done. Let's see what this one is about. Blockchain applications in the public sector. So we're going to talk about this on another occasion because this one is related to land, but this one is mainly talking about government departments, what they can do. Okay, so an example here is asset registry, which is what we're talking about with the land and stuff like that. So all land transactions in Dubai to be conducted through, I think we've looked at this already on 2 occasions, so there is no need to talk about this one. But if all land transactions are to be conducted through the blockchain, okay, that means something. The other article was talking about the use of Bitcoin, which is this one here, the Aston Plaza apartments. Okay, Sweden trials blockchain for land registry. We've also managed to speak about this one in a previous article. So just to look at the introduction, Sweden's Land Registry Authority, Lantmäteria, has put blockchain's promises of transparent and tamper-proof transaction records to the test by implementing a pilot system for recording property-related transactions. So I would suggest that for a country like Zimbabwe, you can start with just one street or just one small suburb. Start with that and see how that goes, and put that on a blockchain and see how it works. Okay. Then, if you're happy with how you have been able to do that, then you can always expand it to the rest of the country. But basically, this is a way to make sure that we have security of ownership, so that the government cannot just come and take your property away, because then this time you can prove that you have the title. The problem now is, even if you get title deeds, the title deeds may be fraudulent, because there are many people that have been sold land which already belong to somebody else, and then they just get some fake paperwork as title deeds. But if it was on the blockchain, it is more difficult to forge. Okay, so I suggest that we start thinking about this. I'm not saying let's implement this tomorrow or next week or in 10 years' time, even if it's in 15, 20 years' time, but let's start having a conversation about it now. Okay, it might even be sooner than we think, because if Ghana is successful in implementing the blockchain, then we too can do that. An Indian state wants to use blockchain to find land ownership fraud. Okay, so there is another story from CNBC. An Indian state wants to use blockchain to fight land ownership fraud. So this one, India's land ownership system is apparently fraught with fraud. So one state is exploring the application of blockchain technology to make it more transparent. Okay, so the government of Andhra Pradesh has partnered with Swedish startup ChromaWay to build its blockchain-based solution. Distributed ledger technology allows data to be stored in vast groupings which are encrypted and tamper-proof. If it is maintained across a network of computers around the world, and there's no central authority to oversee it. So it's important that there is no central authority, because if there's a central authority, it means the system can be targeted by hackers. But if it's a network of computers around the world, it's difficult for hackers to compromise, because in order to hack the system, they would need to hack all of the computers which are on that network simultaneously. Okay? And they would all have to agree to the hacking. So every person with a computer which is maintaining those records would have to agree to that hacking for that hacking to take place. It's like going into Harare and breaking into every household simultaneously, so that if you fail to break into one of them, all the others will not you will not be breaking into any of them. You have to break into all the houses all at the same time. So that's the same thing with the technology of the blockchain. It is corruption proof. Okay, the system is rife with corruption. So that's the Pradesh, the Andhra Pradesh. Fraud is rampant, and disputes over titles often end up in court. Matters related to land and property make up about 2/3 of all civil cases in the country. So ChromaWay has already piloted a blockchain project in Sweden focused on the process of buying and selling real estate. This time it wants to combine the features of a traditional land registry database with that of blockchain technology. Guys, if you have questions, please do ask. I'm just checking to see here. Okay, these are the guys who are watching. Jonathan Siwa is watching. Enoch, Koto, Spencer, Fernando, Simon, Ignatius, and Solomon. Guys, if you have questions and if I can answer them, I will do my best to answer them. But I thought that maybe I should bring this up because Simon, for example, Simon, you've been talking about how we need to give title deeds to our rural population, which comprises 70%, and most of it is dead capital and it's been financially excluded, So we need to bring them onto the mainstream economy. So one of the solutions that I am offering, which I've been looking at for the past few weeks, is the issue or the technology of the blockchain. Okay, and just to give you an example of what blockchain is, Bitcoin is one example of an application which is running on the blockchain, but it is not the only application which is built on the blockchain. There are other applications like property management, for example, land registry. We can put that on a blockchain. So Bitcoin is just a financial application or a banking application, but also have other applications like the ones I'm talking about here with land. Okay, so let's see if there's another article. I had quite a few articles today. So ChromaWay is actually, I don't think I need to, the land registry in the blockchain test bad. So yeah, so this is the ChromaWay application, which is based on the blockchain. And you can find this. If you can Google this, you can find this and read it. Then I've got Sana is the same thing. ChromaWay, blockchain, smart contract, land registry, real estate, the basic program, print, wireless into ChromaWay, blah blah blah. ChromaWay first. So in 2012, Alex Mizrahi of ChromaWay creates the first system to transfer financial assets via blockchain. In 2014, ChromaWay issued the first bank-based asset on the Bitcoin blockchain together with LHV Bank. In 2016, ChromaWay completes the first blockchain project with a national government. So, a blockchain in a nutshell, a database that can be used by parties that don't fully trust each other. So, issue of trust. So the blockchain is actually, it's been dubbed the trust machine or the trust protocol. How the technology behind Bitcoin could change the world, and I think it's changing the world. A middleman is not needed, so that lowers costs and it lowers risks. Additional benefits are resilient and auditability. So it's good for auditing. One of the problems that we have in Africa and in many other places is the issue of accountability, because we have systems which can be compromised. We need all these guys. We need to trust. So our trust has been placed in all these guys. But look, these are the guys who are investing in blockchain technologies because they know that they are not trusted and that they are going to lose the business to anyone who is going to use blockchain. So they are actually coming up with their own, they're actually investing in blockchain technologies, which means they will soon be using them. Okay? So the traditional way is that you need a third party. Yeah? And the two ways, the new way is that you don't need a third party. So yeah, so you can also you can download and play around with this. Right, is there anything else here? I think we've looked at that. Sweden's, well, we've talked about Sweden is inching towards reality. That was in April 2017, so obviously this came to pass. Land registry, a blockchain use case explode. Let me see if we've not looked at this. So yeah, so we've talked about this already. Georgia, Sweden, Ukraine, Ghana was also there. As for the benefit of a blockchain-based land registry, look to Haiti. Okay, so Haiti is one of them, which after it had, I think Haiti went through some kind of a cyclone or a natural disaster, then properties were all over the place after that. But the government decided to then implement a blockchain-based land registry, which was able to correct or to correct the records of some of the properties before and after. if you look at Zimbabwe, we've had Operation Rambatsvina, we've had the expropriation of farms, and we've had people living in the rural areas without title deeds. So those are some of the things which I think we can use this blockchain technology for. Okay, so let's look at Haiti, and there are still people fighting over whose land is whose. When disaster struck, all of their records were on paper, that being if they were written down at all. So there are problems there. But imagine if this was on a blockchain, then they would not have had this problem. Hedman argued that with a blockchain-based registry employing a network of distributed databases as a way to facilitate data exchange, the monumental headache associated with the recovery effort would cease. Right, so you can read through this. What I'll try to do is put all of these links, okay? When I finish, I'll just put them in the comments section. Okay. Then that's physics. Heat is transferred between atomic gas and a crystal. So this is for another. This will be for another day. Okay, guys. So thank you for listening. I've come to the end. Let me just check if there are any questions. And no questions today. Okay. So let me check again here. I see there is okay. It's just a tagging. Okay, guys, so thank you. So what I'll do, as soon as I finish now, I'm going to post this on YouTube so that it's available for anyone. You can share this particular video to see what other people think, but it's a solution to a problem which I think we have. And I think the problem is that we've got something like 3 or 4 different economies in the same country. We've got the rural economy, which is really just function within the rural areas. We've got an urban economy where people in the urban areas are making ends meet. We've got the diaspora, and then after the diaspora, we've got the connected politicians. You know, if you look at some of the houses of the politicians, then you begin to wonder whether we are living in 4 different countries, where we have the diaspora, we have the politicians, then we have the rural population, and then we have the people in the cities who are struggling to make ends meet. So the idea is to consolidate all of these economies, okay, into a functioning unit. And I think blockchain is well on the way to achieving that. So thank you again for listening. I will see you in tomorrow's video.